good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Zabbix 5.4 release date. Well, actually, Arthur said that he's not nervous. I'm a little bit nervous and also very, very excited about the new release. There are so many new great features. And I would like to talk about some major features. I will go into some more details on the minor features. But, well, let's jump into the topic right away. So today we'll talk about two things. First, I will share the view of the new features, and then I will also present what we are working currently. So what our dev team is doing right now. So Zabbix 5.4. This is a non-LTS release. It basically means that it will not be supported for 5 years. It will be supported just for around 7 up to 8 months. Zabbix 5.4 was released this Monday, so it's very, very fresh. We have only version 5.4.0 released, but it already got lots of attention from our users and from our community and from our customers. So let's see why. Well, reporting and visualization, that's what Arthur mentioned, and there are a number of a very significant improvements, I would say. So I guess, first of all, I would like to remind you what we had in Zabbix 5.2. In Zabbix 5.2, we introduced very nice feature. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but in 5.2, you may go to the problem view and you may basically create a different views based on different filtering options. So basically you filter problems by certain criteria, and then you save it. You save this filter as a separate view. And then you can switch very easily with just one mouse click from one view to another, like in my case, all problems to service-related problems to high-severity problems. It's all just one click. Yeah, it's very, very nice feature. Okay, so that's what we had in Zabbix 5.2. Now, 5.4, we implemented a unification of screens and dashboards. What does it mean? It means that no screens are supported anymore. So all functionality of screens has been moved to dashboards. I think it's much more easier for our users, no confusion anymore. So no questions like what is screen, what is a dashboard, so when I should use a screen, when I should use a dashboard. So it's much more simple now. Okay, so remember, in 5.2 and 5.0, we had the dashboard, we had the screens menu item, and now it's all moved to a single menu item, a dashboard. So this is where all dashboards, the global dashboards, are available. And this change affected not only the global screens, but also the local screens, which we always had on a template level. And now we also introduced the dashboards for templates. Okay? So in configuration of a template, for example, well, in my case, I have an Nginx performance template, the template for Nginx monitoring, and I have a dashboard called Nginx performance. All right, one dashboard here. And then under monitoring host, so my host is cdn.example.com, and it has two dashboards defined. One dashboard comes from this specific template, Nginx performance, and another dashboard may come from some another template. And then when I click on the dashboard for this specific host, I go to the dashboard view of this specific host, so I can see clearly, okay, this is a dashboard for cdnexample.com from my host, and I have a very quick selection between the templates this host has at the moment. Like in Nginx performance, I can switch quickly to a system performance, maybe to see some Linux operating system specific metrics like a CPU load, a disk I/O, and so on and so forth. So very, very nice to see only dashboards in Zabbix, so no more confusion. Okay, remember that we had a very nice feature in Zabbix, which was called slideshows or screen slideshows. Since we moved everything to dashboards, we spent quite time to think about it, how to fit it into dashboard functionality. And I think we found a very good solution. We basically introduced a multi-page dashboard. So what does it mean? It means that you may have a dashboard which would contain of a few pages. Like in my case, I have a Zabbix server performance dashboard, but on one page of this dashboard, I would like to see CPU and memory metrics. On another page, I would like to see metrics or graphs related to network performance. And if I would like to add something else, another page, I just click on Add Page menu, and then I create another page for this dashboard. And then how it works in a very simple way. You look at the dashboard and you could see all pages on the top. So you can switch easily from one page to another. You can run slideshow, you may stop slideshow, and the slideshow controls are also available in a full screen mode. So this is a very, very nice feature indeed. What else? That's what Artur already mentioned. I think it's a highly anticipated feature by our community members, by our customers and users, is a scheduled reporting. And in Zabbix 5.4, we have introduced scheduled PDF reporting. I will not go into too many details on this functionality because today we'll have a separate talk from Artur about the PDF reporting, but I would like to give you just a very high-level overview what it's all about. It's all about ability to define, generate, and send a PDF report straight to your inbox. Okay, and actually, it will provide you a few nice features. It gives you kind of centralized management of reports. If you're, say, super admin, you can see what are reports which are generated by Zabbix to send to different users. Zabbix, the reports, as we implemented them, are based on the Zabbix dashboard, so they're very, very flexible. So you may play with the layout of the dashboard, the way how they look like. And it really works with any dashboard. So any dashboard can be converted to kind of a PDF report and sent right to your email box. And this functionality is accessible to all users, but of course it's controlled by a new user and new specific user role. Okay, so this is how the PDF report is configured. Again, I will not go into too many details on this, but the most important part is that you may define that, okay, I would like to receive this report, for example, every Monday at 7 a.m., and please generate this report for previous week data. Okay, so we basically select for what period of time we want this report to be generated, and Zabbix will generate this report at 7 a.m. and send it to you or some other users by email. Of course, there are some more details. There are some more configuration parameters about the PDF report. I think Artur will cover it in much more details. Yeah, and good thing about the PDF report that really the functionality is accessible from the dashboard itself. You just click on the dashboard and you say, okay, I would like this dashboard to be received as a PDF, for example, on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis or an hourly basis. Yeah, so it's all possible now. Well, when we think about what features needs to be implemented in Zabbix and in what direction we would like Zabbix to go, we always considering different functionality and improvements which are aimed to, first improve usability of Zabbix, make Zabbix more simple monitoring solution, but from the other hand, also more powerful and much more flexible. And Zabbix 5.4 is not an exception. We introduced a number of very significant improvements, which really simplifies monitoring, which really simplifies the way how Zabbix works without sacrificing the flexibility of Zabbix, even quite the opposite. We are making Zabbix much more flexible with those changes in place. So tags for items. What does it mean? Well, in Zabbix, we already support tags basically for almost everything, for almost all essential objects like triggers, host prototypes, and templates. Tags are everywhere. Now we introduce tags also for metrics for items. And what we did, we actually replaced applications, the item level application, with tags. It means that no more applications are supported. We do not support applications anymore. And we replace them with, I believe, much more flexible concept of named tags. So you may have a tag information, you may have basically the tag values, you may have as many tags as you want. And I think, of course, it is much more flexible comparing to existing application. So when you go to configuration of your metric, you will see an additional tab, which is called tags, and you can see immediately what tags are defined. Like in my case, I have 2 tags for this specific item, service Jira, and a class of this item is a CPU. So it's something CPU related, but related to service Jira. Yeah, and of course, you may probably ask, okay, what would happen with my applications? Well, don't worry, everything will be fine. Your applications will be automatically converted to tag application, and then goes your application name. So, for example, application CPU will be converted to tag application with the value CPU. So that's how it works. So all information will be preserved after upgrade. Another very interesting functionality, and we've been thinking about it for a few years. It's about a new syntax for trigger expressions. It's about kind of unified syntax for everything in Zabbix. And Igor will have a separate talk today later on. But I will give you again just a very quick high-level overview what's all about and why it is so important. So this is an old syntax. For triggers, we used some special syntax like host, semicolons, key, function, parameters, then some logical operator like more than 0, like in my case. For calculated items, we had a very different syntax. It's more kind of functional syntax, like function, then goes some parameters, and so on and so forth. For aggregates, we had a little bit different syntax with the square brackets. And of course, for users, it's been quite confusing what syntax I should use where. I need to think about it. I need to, basically remember about it. I need to consult the documentation to understand if I'm correct or not with my syntax. So now we have introduced a new and very important word, unified syntax. It means that now we use exactly the same syntax for triggers, for calculated items, and also for aggregates, for aggregated items. Okay, it is more functional. So we define a function first, not like old syntax was kind of, if you're familiar with programming, it's been kind of more object-oriented, but now it's more functional syntax, and I think it is much more flexible. Again, I won't go into so many details, but I would like to point out to a number of advantages the new syntax has. Well, it's unified syntax for everything. Oh, okay, it's easy to remember. It's finally, we've got a support for absolute time periods. So now it's very easy to calculate, for example, the minimum for a previous hour, or some average for a previous day, or for today. Yeah, it's all works now. The new syntax, it fixed all known limitation of the old syntax. So the things which were not previously possible due to limitations of the old syntax now are absolutely possible. So, for example, Now we can do powerful aggregations by tags, by item key, wildcards, etc. We can also apply result of one function to another function. Yeah, function from the result of other function. We can use multiple items as the arguments to certain function. And it really, since we use kind of unified syntax for calculated and aggregated items, we got rid of aggregate items. So it's all being combined into calculated items. So again, easier to our users. So you don't have to think, right, so what item should I use, calculated or aggregated? So don't think about it. We have only one type, calculated items, with all new features and great things supported. We have also introduced a new set of functions, statistical functions, much more rich set of functions with bitwise operations. We have also introduced a new set of mathematical functions, functions to work with the strings. So just have a look at the documentation. And if you think that something is missing, you are not still able to, I don't know, to represent a problem condition using new syntax and new function, just let us know. Let us know, because I think that we made a huge step ahead. What else? API tokens. Well, finally, we do support API tokens, named API tokens with expiry dates. Obviously, actually, any user now in Zabbix can generate a kind of a private API token for some specific use. And of course, all tokens can be managed globally by superadmins if you have permissions. But and also we have introduced a new user role. So we may define in a very kind of understandable way what user has permissions to work, to operate with API tokens, and what users they do not have such a permission. And that's how it works. If I'm an ordinary user, I may go to user settings, click on API tokens, and then I would see my tokens. So it would have a name, it would have optional expiry date, and the information when this token was accessed for the last time, and the status. We may basically enable or disable a token. And that's basically how the token can be configured. Name, user. If I'm super admin, I can choose a user. Then optional description, optional expiration date and time. Yeah, so very, very easy. And tokens, I would like to remind you that you can use the tokens just for any integration work, any work with Zabbix API. You are not forced to use username and password to start using with the API. You just generate a token. You just copy this token to clipboard. It will not be visible anymore after creation of this token. You copy it somewhere, you store it in a secure location, and then you can reuse it. Cool. Yeah, and then all tokens generated by different users can be managed centrally by superadmins if superadmins have enough permissions to look at the tokens. Well, templates. Easy to manage templates. What does it mean? Of course, if you use Zabbix, you probably know that it's not so easy to make template updates. You have one version of a template, then you do some, I don't know, adjustment. You create a new matrix, new triggers, something else, and then it's not so easy to make an update. Because you don't quite understand what would happen. But not anymore. In Zabbix 5.4, we have introduced unique universal IDs for each template element, like a metric, like a trigger, like a graph, and so on and so forth. And then we use this universal ID. So this is just a template in a YAML format, the memcache, the template to monitor a memcache. And you can see this is a unique ID. And this unique ID will be used to match a template. Another unique ID will be used to match a trigger. So this is basically uniqueness criteria. So Zabbix could easily understand what item we are trying to update, what item no longer exists. Is it a new item, or we want to make adjustment to existing item? And it simplifies work with the template very much. So now you can actually keep all your templates in, say, in a Git repository, for example, in a JSON or YAML format, and then using just a CI/CD pipeline, push it to Zabbix using Zabbix API. So as soon as you made some adjustment in your template, your CI/CD system would just take the latest version of the template, and using Zabbix API would apply to Zabbix system. So it really helps to look at your infrastructure as a code. Well, and better import, what does it mean? Now, if you import a new template or a new version of the template, Zabbix will show you clearly what is the difference, or what is going to be changed in Zabbix. All right, so for example, I have a new version of the Memcache template. I modified a few tags there, like I removed one tag application, replaced this with the two tags like service Memcache and a class infrastructure. So, and during the import, I see immediately, okay, so what's the difference between what I already have in Zabbix, my existing template in Zabbix Memcache, and a new template, so that I can easily, review all those changes, and then I just press import button, and those changes will be applied to my configuration. So very, very nice and highly anticipated feature. Well, we have also introduced a few scalability improvements. So Sergey will talk in more details about it later on today. But I will just mention that Zabbix server proxy pollers do not require database connections anymore. It really makes Zabbix works faster and your database works faster. We have introduced a memory cache for trend data, and we also introduced a graceful startup of Zabbix server, which is very useful feature, especially for those who has thousands, maybe tens of thousands. We have one customer who has more than 20,000 of proxies reporting to a single Zabbix server. And when the server goes down, when Zabbix server goes down, for example, for maintenance, like you want to upgrade from one minor version to another, you have like maybe, 30 seconds or maybe a few minutes downtime. Obviously, your proxies, when Zabbix server is back again, all proxies will start pushing tons of data in the same time. Okay, and it's really important to maintain kind of stability and the good health of Zabbix server in this moment. That's why we have implemented graceful startup for Zabbix server. But I'm sure Sergey will talk about it in more details. And a better parallel data processing, again, especially for those users who use Zabbix server with heavy loads, like say, 10,000 or 50,000 of new values per second and more. Another nice improvement, I would say also simplification of a Zabbix setup, is introduction of a universal global script. What's all about? First, we have introduced JavaScript webhooks for global scripts. Very nice feature, because as you know, we use webhooks for many different purposes right now, for pre-processing, for integration purposes, for data collection, and now you can use it for global scripts. And global scripts now can be used for everything, for auto-remediation, alerting, integration with third-party systems, and the manual actions from a Zabbix UI. So basically, now when you define a global script, you tell Zabbix, okay, I want this script to be used only in action operations, for example, like in my example. And this script, this particular script will be based on a webhook. It will accept those parameters like event ID, event severity, and tags in a JSON format. Then I have a script which opens a ticket in a ServiceNow. So this is my global script to open a ticket in a ServiceNow. That's it. I create the script, and then when I define an action, all right, I go to action, I define what kind of operations needs to be executed. I can send a message to admins, or I can just open a ticket in a service desk. That's it. So very simple, easy to use, easy to understand feature, and it simplifies configuration of actions very, very much. All right. So you see immediately what's going to happen. Like open a ticket and service desk. Very simple and easy to use and easy to understand. In Zabbix 5.4, we have introduced some changes related to value maps. So what is value map? Value map is basically the way how to make the values collected by Zabbix. Quite often it's just the numeric values, human readable. For example, we monitor some service state returns 0, and we understand that 0 is down or 1 is up. So we can basically define a value maps based on exact match. That's how Zabbix works currently. In Zabbix 5.4, we extended it to support ranges. So you may tell Zabbix, okay, if I receive the status between 0 and 127, I consider the service to be down. All right. Any other value, it's up, or vice versa. And also, we have introduced a matching by regular expression. Okay, again, it's very, very nice feature. So now when you define a value mapping, you just, like a service state in my case, you may specify, okay, if the value is in range between 0 and 31 or 64 and 127, then it will be mapped to up. And by default, any other value is down. All right, value maps. What else? We have introduced value maps for templates on a template level and on a host level. What does it mean for us? It means that we do not support global value maps anymore. All right. Of course, you may ask, so why we do not support global value maps? It was so easy to maintain value maps on a global level. Yes, maybe for smaller installations, global value maps is a good idea. But as soon as you have multiple templates, as soon as you have maybe a different teams working with a different set of templates, it really becomes a nightmare to maintain it on a global level. Besides, any global object in which we have, it really hurts a multi-tenancy. So what advantages we have having value maps on a template level? First, now we have self-contained templates. A template contains all information we need for monitoring. A set of items, set of triggers, graphs, template level dashboards, and now value maps. So we don't have any references to any global objects like a global value map. So templates become truly independent. We just go to, for example, zabbix.com/integrations. We download a template to monitor, say, some Cisco device, and we 100% absolutely sure that this template will work perfectly on my system because it doesn't affect any global systems. So it really helps multi-tenancy. And in order to make it easier to use for end user, we have introduced some mass actions, mass operations, mass update operations to manage value maps on a template level. So you can add, update, rename, remove, or mass remove all a value map. So it's much easier to manage on a template on a host level. What else? We have also introduced a number of usability improvements. And one which will be visible straight away is the third level menu for better navigation. Okay, so those hidden features of Zabbix, remember, you go to Administration General, and it was quite difficult to spot that, okay, we have also more things to show you, like auto-registration settings, housekeeping settings, images, icon mapping, regular expressions, and so on and so forth. So now we have third level menu for better navigation. Very, very nice feature. What else? Again, in Zabbix, it's kind of it's a little bit, I would say, usability problems that sometimes we really quite often jump from one page to another, maybe from a graphs to latest data, from latest data to, say, a monitoring host. And we are working on this. We are thinking how to improve the usability. And what is important? It's important to keep users focused, yeah, to make them stay focused on what they do. And we have introduced some modal windows for mass updates. This is just a very small step in this direction, yeah? But still, I think it's important. We introduced some modal windows for mass update and import forms. So when you select the list of hosts, you want to do some mass update operation, you are staying in this list. You don't go to a separate page. Kind of minor features, but it really improves performance, really improves the usability of those features. What else? Another small feature, but very, very useful. It's a negative filtering for tags. So now you may go, for example, to monitoring problems, and you can tell, all right, I would like to see all problems which are not from my staging environment. If it's production, it's okay. Maybe it's some testing environment, it's okay, but I don't want to see any problems for my staging environment. So I define a condition like tag environment does not equal staging. I can save it. Remember, so we can save it as a new view, like excluding staging, and that's it. So I think it's very, very nice. It's very, very nice, and again, highly anticipated feature. Better support of XML preprocessing. Of course, we supported XML XPath for years, yeah. But now we decided to introduce another conversion, basically a native conversion from XML to a JSON format. All right. So since most of the work we do in Zabbix are JSON based, I believe it's very, very nice way how to work with XML data. So first, you just convert your XML document to JSON as for example, the first preprocessing step, and then you work with this data as with JSON document. Okay, and much more actually. There are some security-related changes. There are some changes related to real-time export. For example, if you're going back to security-related, we do support all SNMP v3 encryption protocols. We have improved real-time export, so now you have a more granular control what type of information you want to see exported. And also, we do provide information about event severity in real-time exports. So finally, also we do support VMware cluster monitoring. What's also interesting here, Oracle availability setup. If you have an Oracle database, you may run an NHA setup, and Zabbix will basically switch very in a clean way from one node to another. What else? We do support for those who are interested in Java monitoring. We support multiple JMX metrics having the same key on the same host, and some other changes as well. Well, remember that with any new Zabbix major version, we have a new integrations and template. And again, 5.4 is not an exception. It comes with the new integrations, with a set of new integrations with iTop solution, VictorOps, Rocket Chat, Signal, ExpressMS, and some others. We also introduced a new set of official templates for monitoring of APC, UPS hardware, Hikvision hardware, etcd, Hadoop, Zookeeper, Kafka, MQ, HashiCorp Vault, some Microsoft solution like SharePoint and Exchange, Smart Control, GitLab Jenkins, Apache Ignite, and some more applications and services. So if you'd like to see what Zabbix is capable of, what we can monitor, and what integration exists with the third-party systems, you are very welcome to visit zabbix.com/integrations and see if the technology you want to monitor or a system you'd like to be integrated with already supported by us, or maybe exists as a community-supported solution. Well, just recently, I think a few weeks ago, we introduced device-specific templates on our integration page. And we started with APC devices. So now if you look for APC, you can see clearly what devices are supported. All right, I search for APC. I see, okay, APC UPS Galaxy 3500 supported, Smart UPS 2200, and so on and so on, okay? And then when I click on a specific device, I go to this page with the template, with basically the how to monitor this specific device. And of course, we have plans of increasing the number of out-of-the-box supported vendor devices. We'll have a look at the Cisco, Juniper, F5, and some other vendors very, very soon. Well, just a quick reminder, you may deploy Zabbix on-premise. Well, Zabbix is a free and open source solution, right? We don't have any kind of closed product, so we are free as a Linux. We use exactly the same license, GPL v2. And you may just go to zabbix.com, download it freely, and deploy anywhere you want, on-premise. And we support a whole range of the most popular operating systems. You may deploy it on, we have agents for macOS system, we have agents for Windows. You may deploy Zabbix in Docker containers, in Docker environments, or you may deploy it in the cloud, AWS, Azure, OpenStack, DigitalOcean, Google Cloud, and just recently we have introduced support of Linode. All right, so if you want to have Zabbix running in a cloud, don't want to spend much, you're very welcome, for example, to DigitalOcean or Linode, and for $5 per month, you may have Zabbix server up and running with Zabbix UI, and it will be capable of monitoring of thousands of devices easily. There are some breaking changes, of course. I mentioned most of them. Well, remember that we do not support application and screens. If you're used to application, used to screens, be aware there are no more application and screens, and it means that many API methods are affected. We do not support global value maps, so we have to switch mentally from supporting value maps globally to supporting value maps on a template level, or in a host level. Of course, the template level is a preferred one. And another change, but I think we all could very quickly switch to a new syntax because it's really easier. It's easier to understand, easy to understand the logic, easy to understand the syntax. So again, now we have a new syntax for trigger expressions and calculated metrics, and no more aggregated metrics. So aggregated metrics are merged into calculated metrics. Well, we had one kind of fail just after release of 5.4. Our users quickly realized that our integration with Grafana is broken. And actually, why it was broken is just because because of those introduced API changes. So because of the fact that we do not support applications anymore. Actually, of course, all API changes were documented. They were documented just a few days before official release of Zabbix 5.4. But thanks to the very quick reaction of Alexander, he is a maintainer of Grafana plugin for Zabbix. He fixed it very, very quickly, I think just in 1 day. So wow, so all kudos to Alexander. Now you can easily use and safely use Grafana with the very latest Zabbix 5.4. Right, just a few upgrade notes. As usually, if you ask me how can I upgrade to Zabbix 5.4 from my existing 5.0, 5.2, or 4.4 or 5.0, whatever. Okay, so it's very easy. You just install new binaries for Linux, Zabbix server, for Zabbix proxies. You upgrade Zabbix UI. You start Zabbix server, and Zabbix server will upgrade the structure of your database automatically. You don't have to care about it. All existing expressions, calculated items, trigger expressions, aggregated metrics will be automatically converted to a new syntax. Don't worry about it. All applications, I mentioned it before, will be automatically converted to tags. Global value maps will be automatically moved to a template level and a host level. And screens will be all screens, the global screens and host level screen, template level screens will be automatically converted to dashboards. Okay, that's it about Zabbix 5.4. It's really a great release. I'm very, very excited about it. I'm looking forward to hear your stories about the use of Zabbix 5.4 in production, about your feedback. But now I would like to tell you just a little bit about 6.0. So 6.0 LTS, this is a new major release we are focused now. It's planned to be released by the end of this year. And there are two things we are working right now. Our development team is working right now. It's high availability for Zabbix server. So it will be available just out of the box. You install Zabbix server and you can run it in a cluster, in a kind of high availability cluster mode. It will be available in 6.0. And we also invest quite a lot of our time to improve the business service monitoring in Zabbix. I think it's a very big piece of functionality that is coming in Zabbix 6.0. It's all about service tree. It's all about dependencies between services. It's about business service monitoring, SLA, and SLA reporting. It's coming 6.0. But if you want to learn more about our features, what is planned, what is to be expected very soon, have a look at Zabbix roadmap at zabbix.com/roadmap. You may click on the version you're interested in, like 6.0, or 6.2, 6.4, or 7.0 LTS. So it's really like a 2.5 years plan where we are moving to. And now we keep our dashboard in a kind of in a dynamic state. As soon as we have any progress made on any feature, you immediately would see it. So for example, support of multi-tenancy for services. So this is very up-to-date information. It's you see a few tags like in dev. It means it's under development. New means it's been added to the roadmap recently. It also has a reference to corresponding Zabbix Next issue, like Zabbix Next 59. It will have more detailed information on the feature is about, and it's top voted. Top voted means that it is again the feature with many votes from Zabbix users and community members. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your interest very much. Is there any questions?
Yes, thank you a lot, Alexei. That was really impressive. And pretty much every time you switched to a new topic, we had a whole bunch of new questions, and I barely kept up. All right, so let's see, what do we have over here? Of course, you probably already mentioned this, but once you mentioned about the screen migration to dashboards, one of the questions was, is the migration automatic from screens to dashboards? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so all screens, as I mentioned, the global screens And template level screens will be automatically converted to global dashboards and template level dashboards. Yeah, you don't need to worry about it. All information will be preserved.
Next up, so now we have dashboards essentially as reports. Can we use this, or maybe there are any plans for the future where we could natively send this dashboard to some third-party integration? For example, put it in some sort of a frame in a company's intranet website or something like that, like export it externally.
Well, yeah, so I have to check if it's now roadmap or not, but this is a very nice feature and I would like to have it supported in Zabbix. Obviously, you can do it probably right now, just maybe using some kind of X-frame technology, but it's of course, it's kind of very ugly way of integrating one solution with another. But I'm really looking for a way to kind of to include maybe a single widget or the whole dashboard into a third-party HTML page. Yeah, I think it will be implemented in Zabbix sooner or later. Absolutely.
Thank you. So another question about reporting. Any plans to have reports based on some other section of Zabbix, for example, inventory reports or availability reports or something, or top, X CPU load host or something like that? Any plans for the future?
Okay, the way I see it, how it will evolve in the future is basically by increasing the visualization capabilities of Zabbix dashboards, or more specifically, by introducing additional widgets for all different purposes. I would say like geographical maps, like data table widgets, which are already planned for Zabbix 6.0, like capacity planning, the widgets for capacity planning, widgets for all possible use cases. So as soon as we have a rich set of widgets for the dashboard, it will automatically basically put lots of value to PDF reports. All right. And I also mentioned that some changes which we planned for Zabbix 6.0 related to business service monitoring. And as part of this development, we will also introduce new widgets made specifically for SLA reporting. Yeah, so that's the way we go. We'll have more widgets and more advanced widgets and maybe more visually appealing widgets in the future.
Thank you. Next up, maybe you can talk about why did we implement the value maps in the way that we did, because people are asking why are they not implemented on 3 levels, same as user macros, global, template, host.
Well, because it will still, if we implement it on a 3 levels, it will the global value maps will still be there, and I think it will be very hard to manage value maps in this case. So suppose the situation you have a global map defined. Okay, you have already some global map like service states defined. And then you import a new template with the same kind of value map service state, but it's defined differently. All right. So what should we do? What should Zabbix do? Shall it keep the service kind of the value map service state on a template level, or we should upgrade the global service state and do not create the service state on the template level? I'm not sure if you see what I mean, but I think it will introduce a new set of different problems and confusion at the end. So I think the simple design, when templates are independent, and I think this is a very key principle, we really need to keep templates independent. Otherwise, those kind of hidden dependencies on global objects like value maps, it doesn't work well, especially for larger deployments of Zabbix. Not necessarily very large, but even if you have like tens of templates or maybe 100 of templates in your setup, it already may become a huge problem from maintenance point of view.
Thank you. Then we had one more question, just a very general question about our versions. So first off, why do we release so many versions? And the second question is, why don't we support versions 5.2 and 5.4 for 2 years, 3 years? Why just half a year?
Yeah, I don't quite understand the first question. Many versions. What do you mean? Like 5.2, 5.4?
I assume, they're talking about major versions. Why don't we, like, for example, just continue upgrading 5.0 and then, in 2 years' time, switch to 6.0 and so on? Why do we have these intermediate versions?
Well, yeah, so yeah, it's a good question, but the reason is very simple. We maintain backward and forward compatibility within one major release. And we guarantee that the database structure remains intact. Yeah, so if you install 5.4.0, everything within 5.4, like 5.4.10, 5.4.20, 5.4.0, is backward and forward compatible, and the database structure is exactly the same. If we start introducing a new features in the minor releases, it means that we have to modify and extend the structure of the database. All right. So it means that there will be incompatibility between a different minor versions of a major release, and I don't think it's a good approach. There will be just no way to downgrade. For example, if you see that, okay, newer version of Zabbix, it doesn't work the way you want, there will be even no way to downgrade. Yeah, so I think the way how we develop Zabbix, and it's all described in the document release cycle on our website, it's proven to be a very good one. Artur, could you please remind me of the second question? So
let me see. I've already lost. I think this was, you've answered the major kind of case. Yes. The second question was, why don't we support everything 5.2 and 5.4 for 2-3 years? Why is it just half a year?
Well, yeah, of course, because it's really put additional stress, I would say, additional load on our support team. So actually, we have two different types of releases, like LTS, 5-year support, and non-LTS. And if we started support everything, it means that at every given moment there will be probably, let me just do a quick calculation, like 10 major versions supported by Zabbix team. It's really I would say it's really too much work for us. Remember that if you report a problem to our support team, if you're a customer of Zabbix, we need to fix this problem. We have to, create a patch. We need to follow QA procedure. We need to test it very carefully. And maintaining 10 versions, even Microsoft doesn't do it. Yeah. So, or some other very big vendors. So that is our decision. We support just a few major LTS releases, and that's it.
And one last question. I'll save the other ones maybe for the end because we do have to move on. But a common one. So Red Hat 7. And maybe even CentOS 7. So will we support, specifically in case of CentOS, will we continue supporting it in the future when 6.0 comes out? What about RHEL 7?
Yes, so I think, so we dropped support of CentOS 7, and for a good reason, because we understood that, actually there are two reasons. One reason is that we discovered that the software we need and the version of the software we need, like some things related to TLS encryption, these packages are outdated in CentOS 7.0. Okay. Also, there are some unsupported versions of a PHP and so on and so forth. Well, this is one reason: some unsupported software in a distribution. And then we also realized that in 6.0, we will not support CentOS 7.0 anymore. Anyway, yeah, because Zabbix 6.0 will be supported for 5 years, and we just won't be able to support CentOS 7.0, which is kind of getting outdated, for extra 5 years starting from the end of this year. So, and our choice was to drop support of CentOS just immediately, starting from 5.2, or keep it supported till 5.2, 5.4, and drop it in 6.0 anyway. So we decided to drop it now. Yeah, we decided to drop support of CentOS 7 for Zabbix server and for Zabbix proxy and for Zabbix UI, starting from Zabbix 5.2. So there will be no support for CentOS 7 in 5.4 for sure.
And the same for 6.0 also.
Yeah, absolutely. And another reason why is just because we would be forced to rely on a different repositories, on third-party repositories to get the versions of the software, especially it's related to encryption, like TLS encryption. And we didn't really want it to go this way.
Okay, thank you, Alexei. We've held you for an hour instead of the 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay with us. We still have a Q&A at the end, so hopefully we'll get to answer some more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.